introduce to you the birthday girl, Marcy Peters, America's whole life coach.
Hi, everyone. So 7 years ago, I woke up and I realized that 16 years of my life had disappeared. And those 16 years, I felt trapped in a body that felt like a prison. For those 16 years, every day was oftentimes a struggle. And for those 16 years, I really wasn't sure what the next day would bring. And it was a long, tumultuous journey. And I wasn't sure if I would make it into my 30s, let alone my 40s. And today is my 43rd birthday, and I'm thrilled to be here with all of you and to be the spokesperson to let you know that there is hope and there is possibility to turn around whatever is going on for you. So today we're celebrating this victory together, all of us. And, and this is not just for me, it's for each and every one of you who is in my community, the dear people that I love and appreciate. So this is a victory over chronic illness. It's a victory over debilitated health. It's a victory over a compromised life. And so today I want you to stay with me till the end because I'm going to show you how. And my pledge to you is that I'm going to provide usable information that you can take with you today. And I'm also going to have your next step. It's going to be up to you to take that next step, to take the olive branch and the shortcut that I'm going to be offering you and run with it. But I'm here to provide that to you and let you leave here feeling more inspired and more hopeful. So thanks, Cassie, for the great introduction and for being my co-host today. Cassie is one of not only an amazing health professional herself, but she is one of my absolute favorite people, and she's become a dear friend of mine, and we're going to be spending more time in person together again soon. So welcome, everyone, and I see that I'm just going to quickly go over who's here. So we have Alana, Amber, Ann, Anna, Brenda, Carol, Charles, Dale, Deborah, Don, Dora, Dee, something, Elizabeth, Gabriella, Gail, Gina, Henry, Jennifer, Jesse, Jody, John, another John, Katrine, Kylie, Lori, Layla, Lee, Lydia, Marie, Mary, Michael, Michelle, Paul, Rebecca, Shireen, Sherry, Tony, Vicky, Warren. Thank you all so much for being here today. So let's jump into the presentation. I'm going to bring the slides up again.
We have a full house.
I know. We do. And I'm going to check in with you, Cassie, from time to time as well and have you monitor chat for us. So Cassie, tell me if you can see the screen of the slides. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is the 5 things not to do to age backward and exactly what to do instead. And as I mentioned, I'm going to have your next step for aging backward and restoring your health, improving your health at the end, so stay tuned. If you haven't entered your name and location into chat, please introduce yourself. A bunch of you have, and I appreciate that, and thank you for the birthday wishes. But I want this to be interactive. Also, if you don't have a pen and paper or something to write with, then I have a little exercise for you, so have that available. So right now, go ahead and enter into chat and think about this for yourself. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it for you to have health and happiness in your life? How important is health and happiness to you? So I'm going to give everyone a moment to answer. Anna says 10. Cassie's out of 10. Mary. Kylie from Spokane. What else are you seeing over there, Cassie?
11. I love that Jody's at an 11.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
We've got a motivated bunch here today. I don't see anyone putting anything less than a 10. All right, we got a 9.5, but that's pretty close.
That's pretty close. Okay, good. So it's important to be clear with yourself on what your priority is and what you want for your life. So that's why I wanted to ask the question so that you can check in with yourself. And gosh, thank you everyone for sharing. This is great. So really quickly, I know a lot of you know me already, but I'm Marcy Peters, American Whole Life Coach. And I'm an age backward mentor, and I'll tell you what that means in a little while. I'm a certified holistic health coach and life strategist. And I'm a speaker and author. I am the creator of H2 nutrition products. So I have 2 different flavors of bars, and they're called the H2 bar, Marcy bar. One's chocolate cherry and one is peanut butter pancake, which is technically for kids, but adults love them too. And then I have a protein powder and supplements. I'm the founder of the Health and Happiness Guide and Transform Your Health World Summit, which we just wrapped up, which was an amazing success. And I loved being part of that. Thank you for all the emails, by the way. And my pledge to you today is to provide valuable, usable information. Your time is precious, and I want to honor that time and make sure that I am delivering some good content for you so that you can take your next steps. At the same time, I don't want to overwhelm you with so much information because I have a lot of it where you go off and your head is just spinning and you're not even sure where to start. So I'm going to keep it to some basic things and then let you take that from there. And as I mentioned, I'm going to talk about your next step with me. So if you've been wanting to understand the secrets of aging backward that no one else is really talking about, then you're in the right place. Stay tuned. And do stay until the end because I have a special bonus for everyone who is here today. And I'm going to give you this PDF presentation so that you can have it as your notes in case you're not taking notes or on top of your notes as supplemental. And then I'll be talking about your kickstart for your next step. So I want you to, again, just check in with yourself and see if this fits for you. And this webinar is for you if there's something going on with your health that you want to improve. There's some kind of experience of life that you're having, which is not what you wanted, which is what you are hoping to resolve or change or improve in some way. You're having extra fatigue, you're having cognitive difficulties, you can't seem to stabilize your weight, you have excess weight that you'd like to lose, or in some cases, need to gain weight in a healthy way. Your sex drive has suffered. And ultimately, these things combined all together. I used to say when I was sick, if I just had one of the things going on, if it was just fatigue or just pain or just a joint situation or just the digestive stuff or just the cognitive stuff or any of these long list of things, it wouldn't have been so bad. But when all of these things come together, it's like the perfect storm of craziness, and it's overwhelming and it's confusing and it's not the experience of life that you want. So and it tends to affect every aspect of your life. It's not just going to be one thing. When your health is poor or not where you want it to be, it spills into every area of your life. So I talk about aging backward, and this is how I look at aging backward. I'm not talking about looks so much as letting your inner light shine. I think that's what it really comes down to, is being in that place where you have such a great sense of well-being in your body that you can really shine your light. You're connected with your life purpose, you have energy, you are consistently feeling strong in your body and vibrant and exuberant and excited and ready to be the best that you can be. And there's only one of you, so there's, those special gifts and talents nobody else has. And when you're aging backward, you're in a place to be able to share that with others and be really connected. So Cassie, I'm going to check in with you now and see how it's going over there with chat.
No questions at this point. If anyone has them, they can post them in the chat.
Okay, great. So I'm using this platform too because it's really interactive. So please do feel free to interact and ask questions, and we'll either answer them as we go or at the end. So this topic of aging backward and overcoming chronic health issues is obviously very personal to me, and here's why. I got sick in my early 20s, and doctors didn't know what to do. I was looking to them to have the answers and to basically fix me, and it wasn't happening. And the months turned into years and more years, and I was in bad shape for a long time. And so I'm showing right now some of the photos from back then. And here are the messages that I got from the doctors. Incurable, the best you can hope for is just to manage your symptoms. You have the knees of a 70-year-old. In fact, I'll tell one story of I went to quite a few orthopedic doctors trying to figure out what was going on because it hurt to walk. And I was someone who liked to be active. I got active in my teens, and I went to the gym a lot, and it was really important to me to be able to utilize my physical body. I was also on the dance squad in high school, and so that aspect was not okay, that walking hurt. And so I was going to doctor after doctor, and I remember one young doctor came into the room. He looked at my x-rays, and then he looked at me, and he looked at my x-rays, and he said, I have the wrong room. And so he left, and I'm sitting there just, okay. And he comes back, and he was looking at the x-rays and looking at me and looking at the x-rays. And I was in my early 30s at the time. And he said, these are your x-rays. Like, I don't understand that these are your x-rays and these are the knees of a 70-year-old. I had another doctor who looked at my x-rays and said, I'm surprised you walked in here today. I'm surprised you didn't come in a wheelchair. So there was a lot going on with my health, and I felt bad. I felt like staying in bed all the time. And actually, I lost a lot of jobs. It was hard to keep a job. It was hard to work. There was a bankruptcy because the medical bills were piling up. And so I was in a really bad place. And now it's night and day. And I'm not saying my health is perfect all the time, but it is night and day. And I'm 43 now. I feel so much better. I feel so much stronger in my body. I can do the things that I want to do. I can exercise easily, get outside, and do all sorts of fun things. And I'm kind of a thrill seeker, as Cassie knows. And she is too. And we are going to go rock climbing one of these days together.
We went paddleboarding last time we were together.
Yeah, we did go paddleboarding, and that's always really fun. Maybe next time in the ocean.
Yeah.
We're in the lagoon this time. And, you know, I go skydiving and paragliding, and I've been trapezing, I've been jetpacking. There's all sorts of fun things. In fact, I just got a new toy, which you'll see, Cassie, when you come to visit, which is called a hoverboard. And it's different than the other one that you tried, the air wheel. The hoverboard is so much fun. It's so much easier than the air wheel. And I love it. So I've been playing with that for a few weeks now. So aging backward to me is, again, really all about being able to express yourself, being in that place where you can be your best self. So now I have a question for you, and this is for you to write down for yourself, take notes on. You can share it in chat if you want to. If you could be the man or woman of your dreams, who would you be? So I'm just going to take a moment, let you think about that. What would that look like for you if you were the man or the woman of your dreams? And this is an important question because having that clarity of where you want to go, knowing where you want to go and what's important to you is crucial to getting there. And not just surrounding yourself with inspiration, but surrounding yourself with your future self that you want to be. Okay, so we're going to come back to this later. So hopefully you jotted down a few things. So let's get started with the content. Let's give you those 5 tips that I mentioned so that you can get started on your journey, or I'm sure a lot of you have already started, at least continue and strengthen that journey. So the first thing we're going to avoid is inconsistency. And I see this a lot in my practice, and it's the mentality that you can do something for a short period of time and somehow get long-term results, and the two just don't go hand in hand. Short-term behaviors will equal short-term results, and long-term behaviors will equal longer-term results, and that's why diets don't work, and that's not what I teach. I do not teach diets or crash cleanses or anything that is unsustainable that will possibly give you short-term results and then end up regressing or end up backfiring on you. So the first thing we want to avoid is inconsistency, not doing the things that will take you forward, that will have improvements in your life regularly, and not sticking with it. And then instead, and this is such a simple concept, but it's something that we can all spend our whole lives working on, just that consistency piece. I like to call this the success formula, and it's strategy, so knowing what to do, preparation, preparing for that, and then bringing the consistency piece into it and the support piece into it, and that will get you your success. So having that strategy is really important, and that's part of consistency, is knowing what to do and actually having a game plan, having a blueprint that will get you to that place that you want to. Making sure you prepare, having that preparation, and then sticking with it, consistency. So shooting for 100%, knowing that there will be some variation where it doesn't always work out, but still shooting for the best. Shooting to take care of yourself, shooting to put yourself in that place where you can be successful. And here's another thing that I see happening a lot, and I've been there too, absolutely, is if you fall off the wagon, so to speak, let's just say it's with what you're eating, and you have something, cookies or junk food or whatever it is that is off plan, and then you say, well, you know, I messed up, so I might as well just continue. And that's kind of the old way of thinking. The new way of thinking is to actually say, great, I have another opportunity to make a good choice for myself on the next meal, you know, the next time I eat, tomorrow. It's always a fresh day and a fresh start. So, and then the last piece of that is finding support, and that's really important. Cassie, do you have anything to add on this topic?
If you drop your phone, you know, you wouldn't just like smash it. I love the idea. You and I are both all about balance. It's not about dieting and restricting. It's about finding the balance that works for you. Every time you have a fresh
Cassie, I lost you a little bit.
Uh-oh, I'm still here.
Okay. Go ahead and say that again. Every time you
have a fresh start. So just because you maybe expect you to be perfect, no one's perfect. You know, if you drop your phone or nothing.
Okay. So we caught part of that, or I caught part of that. It looks like the reception is still a little wonky, but that totally makes sense, and I agree. So if you break something, or if something, you know, becomes broken somehow, you're not going to just say, too bad. You're going to try and fix it, try and rectify it somehow. So same idea here. Okay. I'm still not hearing you, Cass.
Okay. I'll work on my internet connection. You keep going.
Okay. I heard that. Thank you. Okay. So, all right. So let's move into a place where you can see how this works. A lot of you have probably been on this health journey for a bit, and you've been learning and arming yourself with knowledge, and I think that's fantastic, and I applaud you for that. And then bringing the consistency piece into it is really, really important. I had a client, her name is Heather. She's an amazing gal, and she came to me pretty much knowing that certain foods were not working for her and were keeping her in a state of constant pain and constant fatigue and inflammation. And she was depressed and anxious and worried and had a hard time working, and a lot of the things that I used to deal with. And this had been going on for several years for her, and she had excess weight. So she came to me and, again, knew a lot of the nutrition stuff. She'd been preparing herself and arming herself with that knowledge, but just couldn't seem to stick with it. And so in our work together, she was able to develop more and more consistency, and it was a process. And part of it was also having that support and having someone who believed in her and was cheering her on in a way that she said she'd never had before in her life. And this is, again, something that she'd been dealing with for years and years. And I'm happy to say that you can see the after picture there. She looks fantastic, and she has dropped even more weight since then and is feeling even more fantastic. And she has started her own business. She's doing something she's really, really passionate about, and she's just blossoming. She has, taken many, many steps in her personal life to create more happiness and more health for herself, and it's just improving all the time. So sometimes having that catalyst at the beginning, and usually it's at least a 3 to 6 month period, it can be shorter, but having that support to stay consistent really makes a huge difference. All right, how are you doing over there, Cass?
All right, let's see if you can hear me a little bit better now.
All right, that sounds good.
Okay. We're getting in the chat. People wanted me to repeat what I said before since it broke up. So it kind of relates to what you're talking about now, Marcy, just finding that balance and being consistent. And balance is different for everyone. And you and I both teach a balanced message. It's not all or nothing. Just because you're not perfect, which you shouldn't be, no one expects you to be perfect. None of us are. You can view every morning as a fresh start. Every time you eat as a new opportunity to make better choices. So that's why when I was talking about when you drop your phone on the ground, you wouldn't smash it. You would pick it up and try to fix it. And that's exactly, that's kind of the message that you and I are teaching, is that, you have a new opportunity and a fresh start every single time. And that's what balanced living and eating is all about. It's not a diet. It's not all or nothing. It's about finding that balance that works for you.
I love it. Yes, perfect. Very well said. And the reception was much better this time. So whatever you did helped. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So, we're not trying to say, no one's perfect. And even the people in the health industry like us, we make mistakes, we have splurges, but we try and stay consistent as much as we can. And so that's all we're saying, is that consistency will help you. And that's what we want for our clients and for all of you. So good. So it's not what you do once that makes a difference. It's what you do on regular, ordinary days that shape your life. It's not going to the gym that one time or a couple of times. It's what are you doing most of the time? If you look at how you're spending your days and your weeks, what's a normal day for you? Do you have your water? Do you hydrate your body? Do you get the movement? Are you mostly eating right? So take a look at that. So that was your first tip. And let's move into number 2, which is avoiding excess cortisol production. So cortisol is the stress hormone. It's released in response to stress. And its role is with metabolism and your immune system, and keeping the levels right is really important. And we don't want that elevated. We don't want your body reacting to stress in a way that is creating more inflammation and creating more problems for yourself. And some of these problems can be muscle wasting, the immune system can be compromised, and then sleep can be compromised. It can be a factor in depression, pain, sense of well-being. So there's many reasons to kind of monitor that, and just check in with yourself and see where is your stress level at. So stress, is just part of life. It's not something that will go away anytime soon or ever, and you don't really want it to. You don't really want to get to that place where there's not these, things to be excited about or, really into. But you get to decide. You get to decide if the stressors that come up are things that are going to affect you inside. So let's look at, okay, so again, excess cortisol is produced by the lack of sleep, sleep deficiencies, over-exercising, and that's something that I see a lot with especially overachievers, high achievers, who are trying to create more health for themselves right away. I like to, with exercise, kind of build up to a point and then, see where you're at and kind of monitor that. But over-exercising is as bad as not exercising. It can be as bad as not exercising at all. So getting that proper amount of movement, being in stress response. So we have stress response, and then we have the healing relaxation response on the other side. So where are you in the continuum? Caffeine, sugar, and stimulants are really going to create problems and can create more stress inside the body because they're stimulants. And then trying to do too much and not being present for any of it. And we've all experienced this, we've all been multitasking and doing all sorts of things, and then feeling like we lost an hour or a couple of hours, and what did you do last week? And I have no idea because I wasn't present. Lack of forgiveness, comparison, judgment, being critical. So all of these things, negativity can create more cortisol. So what to do instead is to activate the relaxation response. Again, this is at the other end of the spectrum from the stress response. And there are some definite ways that you can do that. First of all, I like to say, make sleep a priority. Most people are walking around sleep deprived and they don't even necessarily know it. They think, well, I got my 6 or my 7 hours. And if you are waking up feeling tired, or if you're having cognitive difficulties or memory problems or decision-making problems, or you're just not feeling the energy that you want, the first place to look at is sleep and getting that right amount of sleep. I know lots of people who jump up at 5 a.m., they set their alarm and they get up and they exercise. But I actually like to say that sleep, as a foundational piece, is probably more important, at least in some cases. So sleep is the first place to start, and then that right amount of exercise. So not too much and not too little. Challenging your body, but not completely stressing it out all the time to where now this stress response just becomes a habitual thing. Reducing caffeine, stimulants, and especially sugar as much as you can. That's great for reducing inflammation and all sorts of other things as well. And then constantly make a conscious shift into that relaxation response that we talked about. And you can do this with breathing, you can do this with presence, and then having compassion for yourself and for others, and being present, doing one thing at a time, trying not to multitask. And I'll be honest, I'm the worst at this. I am a high achiever and I like to get a lot of things done. And so often I'm doing many different things. And there are times when just slowing down, and that's why I love yoga so much, just slowing down and being present and just feeling your body, being in your body. You know, that's another way to shift into the relaxation response, is to actually be present with your body, and instead of trying to avoid it somehow. All right, Cassie, any thoughts on this?
Well, I'm still thinking about cortisol and how it can contribute to weight gain too. And, you know, cortisol, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, cortisol, that stress hormone, like you mentioned, it's released in response to stress, and it tries to keep us alive, so that if we're being chased by a tiger, you know, it's going to help keep us alive. If we get in a car accident and our car, you know, collapses on top of a loved one, you can actually have energy to like lift that car up. That's why you hear crazy stories like that. And that's thanks to cortisol. But when we're stressed out every single day and our cortisol levels are constantly elevated, it causes your pancreas to secrete insulin, which is your fat storing hormone. And that's why simply being stressed can cause weight gain. So I love, Marcy, that you're touching on things like stress and sleep, because so many times, you know, our clients will come to us and say, I'm doing everything right. I'm eating right. I'm exercising just enough, not too much. You know, what's going on? And we find out that they're sleeping 6 hours a night, because the average American sleeps 6 hours and 50 minutes a night, and they need 7 to 9. And they're stressed every single day, because most of us brushed off stress like it's just not a big deal. And they don't realize how these important pieces of the puzzle really affect not only, you know, how they feel, because obviously, you know, we feel a lot better when we're rested and we get enough sleep, but it's also affecting our weight and whether we're gaining or maintaining or losing weight. And those are connections that I think a lot of people don't make. So I'm really, really glad that you touched on these important factors that impact, you know, not only aging backwards and how we look and how we feel, but our metabolism and our weight and really all aspects of our life.
Yeah. And also just your sense of well-being, just how connected you feel to the world and how much you're enjoying your life. If you're letting yourself be in a stress response, which is a choice, it doesn't feel like a choice, but we do have a choice to slow down, breathe, be present, you know, all of these things, set yourself up for success with sleep, then you also have a choice in how you experience life. And so this piece of it is really crucial.
And it's like an everyday decision. I mean, you're hearing this from Marcy and I, who are high achievers. I call myself a workaholic. I don't know about you, Marcy, but I'm constantly fighting for that balance in my life, because I like to multitask too. I like to get as many things done at once. And that's why it's important to find what works for you. You know, for Marcy, yoga is a great thing. I love to do that once in a while. You know, I love to relax and read a book and try to incorporate some transition time from my work day to my evening, because sometimes it's all the same, you know, when you're a business owner, or if you're someone who has a couple jobs and you work from home, you know, when you get home from work, so you've got to try to find these parts, you know, these little pieces that you can implement, whether it be, you know, a bubble bath or walk or, you know, coffee or calling a friend, which sound so simple. And you've probably heard these tips before. And the reason why we're repeating them is because they're so important. Like Marcy said, it's not just for your health and weight, but it's for your overall well-being and just enjoying life.
Yeah, this is your life. And as far as we know, at this point, we just get the one. So, you know, you owe it to yourself. It's our responsibility. It gets to be each of our responsibilities for ourselves to create whatever we want, whatever that is that really lights you up and excites you about being here and having your life. So thank you, Cassie. Great information.
Great presentation.
Thank you. So I want to talk to you about one of my clients, and just so everyone knows, all of my clients have given me permission to talk about them. I would never share their stories without their permission, and they have written these testimonials as well. And this is Leah. She is a high achiever. She is a single mother, and she's in the education industry. And she's a teacher, actually. And so she came to me and she was really stressed. She was having a lot of digestive issues and just couldn't seem to get things under control. You know, she was educating herself and going to school, and she was actually in leadership to do coaching herself, and just couldn't pull it all together. And so what we recognized is, yes, there were some changes to what she was eating, But even more importantly, it was how she was internalizing that food, how she was allowing it into her body. And when you eat in a stressed place from that stress response, you're not going to absorb or digest nearly as well. Your body isn't going to get the nutrients. You could be eating the healthiest things in the world, and your body isn't going to accept that nutrition nearly as well from a place of stress, from that stress or that fight or flight response. So what we worked on was that presence, that connection, that slowing down, actually giving her permission to slow down and letting her know that that is okay to do. And you don't have to be constantly busy and constantly doing things and achieving and learning and accelerating and all of these things. And what ended up happening is her digestive issues calmed down. She was able to also, at the same time, she had a few pounds that she wanted to lose, and not much, but she wanted to lose a few pounds. And then she was having people say, wow, you look amazing. And yes, it's the weight loss, but it's always more than that. It's always about how someone is showing up in the world and how much their light is turned on. You each and every one of you have these amazing lights. You are already an amazing person. And I like to think of a light bulb that gets dusty and starting to shine that light bulb up and uncover this beautiful light that's underneath. And that's a process that I see happening with my clients over and over again. It's just like, I could get a little teary, like thinking about it. It's the most amazing thing to see that. And that's what happened with Leia as well. And she was able to start being the woman that she always had inside of her and just wasn't able to show. And she got a promotion. She stood up. We were working with boundaries and relationships and different things like that. So she stood up for herself and asked for the money she wanted, which wasn't originally offered to her. And she got it. She got the hours that she wanted. And also she is pursuing her dream of doing something outside of the school on her own. And and then the other thing was her ex-husband just started treating her better out of the blue. And so it's just seeing all these pieces come together is so magical. All right, and I know you've seen this a lot in your practice too, Cassie.
Definitely.
So let's move into the third thing to avoid. And I don't even call this food. I call it food-like substances, right? So these are things that we've always assumed are food, the nachos, the Doritos, the M&Ms, not to name brands, but those types of things. Usually they come in packages or boxes, the cereals and so forth. And a lot of times they might even say healthy or whole grain or something, that looks like it would be a good thing, enriched, fortified. And unfortunately,
skinny.
What is it?
That's the one I love to hate the most is skinny.
Yeah. And then, low fat, which we used to think was the thing to do. So these are things that don't contain nutrients. They're basically empty calories, and often they contain anti-nutrients. So not only is our body not getting fed sufficiently and getting the nutrients that we need, whether it's the macro or the micronutrients, we are getting anti-nutrients. And anti-nutrients are the things that cause inflammation, the trans fats, the hydrogenated fats, the sugar, the artificial colors and sweeteners, which are absolutely horrible. We shouldn't be eating anything artificial or man-made. So all of these things cause inflammation, of course, obviously weight gain, and cognitive problems and energy and fatigue and pain and all these things that we've been talking about, digestive problems. So avoid the food-like substances. And of course, the solution to that is to consume real food, whole food, nutrient-dense food, food with one ingredient. So it's an apple, it's a piece of salmon, it has one thing in it, and that's just a super easy way. And then learning what ingredients to avoid, and we talked a lot about that in the summit. Again, those low quality oils and things that are going to cause inflammation. I like to also use the rule of when I'm shopping, and I do get packaged stuff sometimes. I try not to, but there are certain things that come in packages that I will purchase. But I look at the ingredients, and if it's over about 5 ingredients, then I don't get it. If there's anything on the label that I do not recognize as a food product that sounds chemicalized, I won't get it. And then obviously I look at the sugar content. I'm completely gluten-free, so nothing with gluten or dairy for me. I avoid corn and soy as well. So there's certain things, but starting to understand what those things are. And that's the easy way to tell if something is masquerading as real food, is to really analyze everything on the label. And it will become easy over time, but at the beginning it really is looking at each ingredient and ultimately eating real food.
And if you can't pronounce an ingredient, that's a red flag as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anything with multi-syllables, 3 or 4 syllables. Good tip. So I want to talk about how I worked with another client, and this is a great young man, and he came to me. He just didn't know what to eat. He just wasn't sure of the strategy, and because a lot of the things that we are taught aren't true. The whole grain theory is not necessarily true. A lot of starches and a lot of things, that turn into sugar in our body are going to create inflammation, and they're not going to be in our best interest necessarily. So I helped educate him on how to shop, how to cook, and what to put into his body, and we created a meal plan that worked for him. And at a certain point, there's always some kind of massaging that we do with the plan, and so adding, subtracting, and so forth according to the individual person. And he ended up losing 50 pounds, which was great because he was in the best shape he'd been in his entire adult life. He was in his mid-30s. So another gal came to me and did my plan and lost 22 pounds. And this is pretty typical. I mean, when you start taking the foods that don't work out and putting the good foods in, I've seen people absolutely losing as much as 8 or 9 pounds in a week. And it doesn't need to be that fast either, but the body is just able to release stuff because it's not fighting off these toxins all the time. So having that plan is really important. Cassie, I know you've seen that a lot too.
Yeah, and I think that we have a good question that might tie in really well right now, Marcy.
Yeah.
So Amber asked, why do doctors tell us to go for the low-fat items? Can you expand on this?
Yeah, thanks, Amber. That's a really good question, and we talked a lot about this in the summit. So this has to do with the old way of thinking, and I know Cassie's really well versed on this too. So we used to believe that low fat was the solution for excess weight. It was the solution for heart issues and general health. And what we found is that high quality fats that actually help with our metabolism, that feed our brain, and they're overall very healthy. And we need those. And they're great for satiation too. When we're not getting enough high quality fat, we feel hungry. And we feel, you can't just eat vegetables all the time. And even vegetables and lean protein, you need that high quality fat. And so incorporating the coconut oil, which is a medium chain triglyceride, incorporating the avocado, other healthy oils like macadamia nut oil, olive oil, avocado oil, incorporating healthy proteins that have fats, the organic grass-fed free range, the wild salmon. These things in the nuts and seeds are really important to have, actually. So low fat is a thing of the past, and there's a lot of great research and books on it. My friend Johnny Bowden is writing a book that is coming out soon, and there's quite a few other ones. And I would also recommend looking at the book, The Great Cholesterol Myth. So, and then Cassie, what do you have to say on this?
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, Marcy, the good news is that the science is finally being publicized that saturated fat and dietary cholesterol are not linked to heart disease. And that's why the whole low fat myth came out in the first place, because we thought, fat caused heart disease, but there was no evidence to support the low fat message in the first place. And the research studies now are saying that sound nutritional knowledge was distinctly lacking in generating these guidelines. So the great thing is that we have research showing that low fat is not the answer. Not to mention, when we started following a low fat diet in the early late 1970s, prevalence of type 2 diabetes and obesity, cancer, and heart disease skyrocketed. So something wasn't right there. And now we're finally, we're facing the results of following a low fat diet. And someone wrote in the comments, I think this is really great. Rebecca wrote that the reason why doctors push low fat is because doctors get almost no training in nutrition. And if it's low fat, it's likely high sugar. So number one, Rebecca, you're so right that, and I'm not trying to bash doctors. Doctors have a very important role in the medical system. The problem is most of them only have, one course, maybe a few hours, at the most 24 hours of nutrition training, which is very little compared to the years and the hours that they're in school. And second of all, you are also right, Rebecca, that if it says low fat, it's high in sugar. And this is why when Marcy was talking about how, you can't just eat vegetables all day long. And the problem is even vegetables turn into sugar in our body. So vegetables are very important, but because all carbohydrates turn to sugar in our body and sugar is addictive, this is why when we eat fat-free or low fat, we eat so much more sugar. And that kind of explains why, cancer cells feed on sugar. Heart disease is a sugar disease. We know now that heart disease is a result of inflammation, like Marcy was talking about. Weight gain happens when you consume a lot of sugar. So all of this is really tied in with, eating low fat. So that's why Marcy and I aren't recommending eating low fat, because it was really just a big myth that didn't have any research to support it. And thank God, the science is proving that. And it just takes a long time for things to change, especially in the medical system. Doctors it's probably going to be a while before everybody gets on the same page again. And that's just the unfortunate part of it.
Yeah, and I know it's confusing for everyone because the doctors that were trained years ago before this new information came out are still operating under that philosophy, and that's what they're still talking about. The low fat, the whole grains, the dairy, the milk for calcium, these are all old philosophy or old news, old science actually. And so it is confusing, but you're right, Cassie, eventually the hope is that we'll all be on the same page and there doesn't have to be this conflict.
Right. And then a couple more great comments. Mary says, it seems like some of the nutritionists are giving the same message to go with low fat. Absolutely. That's what we were taught in school to be dietitians. It's still what's being taught in dietitian school. I get emails every single day of students that are like, I can't believe we're still being taught that, we need to count calories and eat low fat. It's still what they're being taught, this old textbook information. Mary says, after my mom's open heart surgery, they wanted her on low fat. In the hospital, she was getting mashed potatoes, Jell-O, soda, and she's diabetic. It's insane. My father also had open heart surgery, and this is when I was in school to be a dietitian. Just didn't make sense to me that they'd be giving him all this junky, low-fat food. It's kind of ridiculous. Anna says this information given out in hospitals, unfortunately, takes a long time to follow the research. Dietitians follow protocols made by the hospital. That's why it's important for us to keep up in the research. Absolutely. I worked in a hospital for years, and it's really, I pushed it. I'll be honest. I pushed it because, we're supposed to follow these certain protocols, and you don't see results with these protocols. So most of our patients we call frequent flyers because they would never get better because of the information we were giving them. And of course, the patient just feels like there's something wrong with them. And I know that's close to your heart too, Marcy, is just the fact that people feel this shame and this personal failure when they're doing what they're being told to do. But the problem is it's not them that has something wrong with them. It's the information they're being given that's flawed.
You have to have the right strategy. That's the first thing. You can have the consistency and you can have the drive and the determination and all of that, but bottom line is you have to have the right strategy. You have to know what to do that will actually give you results. And within that what to do, that general what to do, there's always going to be some tweaking that needs to happen. I've had clients who need to have a certain amount of starches more than others, and it can depend on genetics, it can depend on activity level. There's all sorts of factors to take into account. And that's why it's great to have individualized attention where this is concerned. But generally speaking, we are knowing that the carbohydrates and the sugar are causing more of the problem than anything else. And of course the artificial stuff. And then you have the genetically modified foods, which come with their own issues, and all of the non-organic meats come with their own issues. So there are,
and it all ties back to what you talked about, the inflammation. Every one of these pieces of the puzzle goes back to that underlying inflammation that's at the root of almost every disease and weight gain and all of our health issues.
Yeah, even the brain, they have found out that Alzheimer's is inflammation of the brain. And so things that are considered age-related, that's like, oh, this just happens when you get old. No, it doesn't need to. That's what aging backward is all about. You don't need to get worse with age. You don't need to break down with age. You can get better with age. And you have the wisdom of all of your years of experience too on top of that. That's beautiful when you can marry those two things together.
Amen.
All right. So number 4 thing to avoid is liquid calories. Liquid calories, we all know soda and that sort of thing. Okay, that's kind of common knowledge that soda isn't going to be great for your health. But there's a lot of other things too. And the reason why is because it creates inflammation. Sugar creates inflammation, and artificial sweeteners create their own problems too. Don't listen to the 0 calorie. Don't fall for that. That's marketing. So, and then the other part of drinking or having the right type of liquids is that when you are dehydrated, your body gives you the signal of hunger. So dehydration can cause you to eat more than you need, more than you want, because you think that you're hungry. So of course, the solution to that is hydration. So we're going to talk about, and I actually have some really cool examples in just a minute here. So the first thing is, and I used to be this person, I am not judging anyone, right? Because I was this person who went to Starbucks every day and didn't think about the liquid. I was aware of the candy and the cakes and the, all of those types of junk foods. I wasn't taking the liquid calories into account. I was thinking, a Frappuccino was fine. And I did this for years, and this was actually part of the problem. Everything that I'm talking about, we teach what we most needed to learn, or the things that we've learned that have helped us the most. And that's one of the reasons why I'm talking about these 5 things today. So check this out. This coffee Frappuccino has 49 grams of sugar. Now, the American Heart Association, which is not even necessarily on the cutting edge, holistically, but their recommendation for an adult is 24 grams of sugar. And for a child, it's 16. I believe, and it might be modified since I last looked at the statistics, but 24 grams for the whole day, right? And this has 49 grams in one sitting. That is so hard for your body to process. That is crazy. It would be hard enough if it was spread out over the entire day, but to have it in one sitting. So that's just one example. Check this out. So a venti soy vanilla spice hot chocolate has 80 grams of sugar. Now this is something that, like a hot chocolate, you might even give your child, or, it has as much sugar as 5 Pop-Tarts. And you certainly wouldn't sit there and eat 5 Pop-Tarts, you would just, common sense would dictate otherwise. But, then this is a drink. So Jamba Juice, just as an example, this has, you might not be able to see it, 98 grams of sugar. Now, this is the 16 ounce, or excuse me, this is the 22 ounce, which is the medium size. So the 16 ounce is going to have less, and the 28 ounce is going to have more. 98 grams of sugar. Cassie, are you just reeling?
It's so crazy. And I like to think of that sugar as little pieces of glass that cuts up your insides, cuts up your vessels. That's how sugar leads to heart disease, because it's causing that inflammation. So you can just imagine these shards of glass coming through your system into your body. And I love what you said, Marcy. I mean, the American Heart Association, I mean, they're very liberal. They're not necessarily always on the cutting edge here, when it comes to nutrition and these recommendations. And if they're recommending, you limit your sugar to 24 grams a day, then certainly having 80, 90 grams in a sitting is not going to be a good thing.
Yeah. So it's a process of education. And look, we've all done this. We've all gone to Jamba Juice thinking, I need a snack. I'm going to do something healthy and get fruit, fresh fruit, right? What could be wrong with that? So knowledge is power. So let's take a look at vitamin water. I used to drink vitamin water too, thinking it has vitamins in it. Great, I can get my vitamins very easily this way. And as you can see here, all three of these flavors have 31 grams of sugar. That is as much as a soda, as drinking a can of soda in many cases. So you're not.
We've got a couple.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, we've got a couple of questions that might be a good time to tie in right now on this topic.
Great.
So the first would be, do you consider stevia an okay sweetener?
I do. I like stevia. I don't know where you fall with it, Cassie, but stevia is actually my preferred sweetener.
I'm on the same page. I would say pure stevia because there's a lot of stevia wannabes out there. Like, for instance, Truvia, made by Coca-Cola, is actually erythritol, which is a sugar alcohol. It's not even stevia. And that's actually our next question, Marcy, is what about erythritol? What are your thoughts on erythritol?
I think that the jury is still out. I think that it's better than some of the cane sugars and some of those. But for a while, we also thought that agave was a good sweetener. And now with further research into it, it's coming from the starchy form of the plant, or the starchy part of the plant. So it turns out that agave is not a good sweetener. Now at this point, I know that a lot of holistic nutritionists are saying that erythritol is okay. And I think that at this point, it seems like it is. I would still use it in moderation and limit the use of it. I am a fan of coconut sugar or organic coconut sugar, maple syrup, raw honey. Raw honey is actually a superfood. Now, all of these you're not going to consume in big quantities. Try to still keep that to a moderate to low amount if you can. But those are my preferences. What about you, Cass?
Yeah, I'm with you. Either one of the real sugars that your body actually knows how to metabolize, or stevia. But again, it's not like stevia is not like an all you want to use pass to the buffet line, because it still can, it's so sweet, it can still trigger kind of that addictive cycle and craving more sugar. I'm not a fan of sugar alcohols at all. Erythritol, xylitol, malitol, any of those OLs at the end, they can cause a lot of digestive distress. I think they can slow your metabolism down in the same way that artificial sweeteners can, because your body doesn't know how to metabolize them. So we recommend just staying away from all of those and focusing on either just real sugar or the sugar alternatives that you mentioned, Marcy, like the more natural ones, like, honey or coconut sugar, or using a little bit of stevia. Because the nice thing about stevia is it's not artificial. It's from a plant. You can actually chew the leaf of the plant. It's very natural. It's been around for a long time, and you don't need much of it.
The leaf tastes really good. I don't know if you've ever just chewed on it. It's good. And then the other thing is, if you can start to bring in more naturally sweet foods, like sweet potatoes and yams are really, really sweet. I will do a baked sweet potato or yam with just some coconut oil on it and maybe some cinnamon. I mean, and then fruits and different things like that. So just having that little bit of sweetness in those foods can satisfy that sweet craving, so you feel like you're getting something yummy and sweet without actually having, to add any sugar. There's nothing added. It's just that food itself.
That's a really good point. I mean, even just like fruit is a great natural way to get in sugar. I had a client who was she was binging on sugar every evening, and I was trying to figure out why. And then I realized she was restricting fruit all day long because she was trying to eat more vegetables instead of fruit. So she was feeling deprived. So every evening it would catch up with her, and she'd go binge on whatever sugar she could find. So we found that just by incorporating a little bit more sugar, natural sugar from fruit during the day, she didn't feel deprived and didn't feel the need to do that at night. So it is kind of about finding that balance.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. So let's look at juice. Now it's easy to think, oh, it's 100% fruit juice. This is fine. This white grape juice has 42 grams of sugar, and it's the equivalent of 4 Krispy Kreme donuts. And then I just have a few more examples. Sorry, I'm wanting to drive the point home, but this is always so illuminating. So this For Goodness Shakes Milk Chocolate Sports Recovery Drink has 50 grams of sugar, and so you might as well eat 15 ginger nut biscuits.
I'd rather have the biscuits than
I'd
the
rather
sport
have the biscuits. Might actually have some nutritional value, where a lot of these liquids we're talking about don't have any nutrients. Like there's really nothing in it. The vitamin water might have a few added vitamins, but that's kind of like fortified and enriched. That's like, I think of fortified and enriched is if I gave you $20, Cassie, and you gave me back $1, that's fortified and enriched.
Well, usually they strip out all the nutrients, then they add them back in.
Then they add a few things back in, yeah. Mm-hmm. So here's this Rockstar Punch Energy and Guava, 78 grams of sugar, the equivalent of 20 chocolate chip cookies. Okay, so enough of that. And so here I just wanted to talk about, again, a few other examples of people who needed the right strategy, had been stuck, didn't know what to do, didn't have the support, the consistency, and all of those factors, that success formula that I talked about earlier, and were able to get great results. And so here's the solution to what to do instead of those sugary liquid calories, which would be to start eliminating them from your diet and replace them with water. Replace them with flavored water. I like the brand Hint, which is just fruit-infused water. It doesn't actually have fruit or any sugar, but it smells and tastes delicious, and you can get blackberry, raspberry, watermelon, whatever you like. The dehydration trick is to see if you are actually dehydrated instead of hungry, because dehydration feels like hungry. Do you know this one, Cass?
Yeah, I think so.
So when you are feeling snacky, so the key is snacky. In other words, you wouldn't want to sit down and eat broccoli and salmon, but you want something like cookies, chips, crunchy, that snacky feeling. That's dehydration. It can be dehydration. So drink 20 ounces of water, wait 20 minutes, and see how you feel. See if you still feel hungry, legitimately hungry. If you're legitimately hungry, then have some real food. Have your salmon and broccoli or whatever it is. But if you are dehydrated, then you just need the water. You just need to bring that more water in. Find ways to make water more interesting and enjoyable, and carefully choose other beverages. So look at your overall beverage intake and see if there are some upgrades you can make. Can you do black tea or green tea instead of, cup after cup of coffee? Can you do some coconut water instead of soda, which is still really naturally sweet? Can you do herbal tea sometimes? So look for these upgrades. Can you do water with lemon instead of lemonade with sugar, or water with lemon and stevia? Something like that. So look for those upgrades. I'm not saying never have any drinks that are sweet, but can you find a better alternative? And then
one of my favorite things is the soda water, like the sparkling carbonated water. Do you recommend that, Marcy?
I used to do that too, because it gives you a nice bubbly, and you can even get flavored stevias. So you can get a root beer flavored or a cola flavored. And I've had clients get off of Diet Coke and sodas by doing that. So yeah, and that's definitely an upgrade. For me, the carbonated stuff creates gas in my system, I'll just be honest. So it doesn't work for everyone necessarily, but it is an option. I mean, it tastes really good, especially if you add lemon or lime, something like that. You can add, squeeze in some fresh orange or, mint leaves. There's lots of ways to make water interesting, but carbonated water is one option.
I like the trick that you mentioned. If I'm feeling snacky, I go to the fridge and I usually have pre-made like chicken salad or tuna salad or salmon salad, and I'll take it out. And if it doesn't really sound good to me, then I know I'm probably just, just bored and I'm just, just dehydrated. So then I'll grab my soda water. And, sometimes I'll take a bite of the salad. And if I'm like, not really feeling it, then I know I'm just dehydrated. So that's a really good tip. Look at your real food. And if it doesn't sound appealing, you're probably just dehydrated.
Yeah. And then you brought up another thing, which is a whole different topic, but I want to touch on that. You said, maybe I'm just bored, so that brings up the whole emotional eating thing, which we all do sometimes. We use food for entertainment, for, to keep us occupied, for distraction, for comfort, all of these things. So that would be the other thing to consider if there's not a dehydration situation. So let's move on to the last. I want to wrap this up because I said it would be 60 minutes or a little over, which I don't mind, but I don't want to go into anyone else's time here. So the fifth thing is, I'm calling it detrimental proximity. So who you are immediately surrounding yourself with has an impact on your health and happiness. So surrounding yourself with people who have different values, not spending time with the right people, and not having support or lack of support can lead to frustration, loneliness, feeling alone, getting down on yourself, giving up, and being in this failure loop or this stuck place, and then nothing changes. So what to do instead is power proximity. Power proximity is when you have people in your life who are on the same path as you, that are supportive, who aren't necessarily dragging you down, they may not be doing all the same things you're doing, but they believe in you, and they're at least supportive of what you're doing. So carefully choose who you surround yourself with, and don't think that you have to do it on your own. So part of strength is getting support, and ending the confusion and the failure loop, which it's easy to get into, without even realizing that you're in this stuck place, and get a mentor and support team. So I have so many examples for why having a support team makes all the difference. But I'm going to talk about Kathy, and she was one of my amazing clients who just needed a boost, and she came to me, and we were able to work with what she was eating and make some tweaks. And it doesn't have to be a huge overhaul. For some people it works better to ease into it, and so that's what we do. And she started making strides and stop beating herself up. I mean, that's an important piece of it too. So it's not just the weight loss. I look at weight loss as a side effect of the other work that we're doing, the work that we're doing on how you feel about yourself, how you're treating yourself, your love and acceptance levels, and then looking at the belief system and the other things in your life, the other pieces of your life that you're using food to nurture yourself, when really there's maybe something else going on. And so looking at all of those components. And so we were able to get her to a place where she wasn't beating herself up. She was really hard on herself, and a lot of us are. And we go immediately to that place of, I'm not good enough. Why did I do that? What was I thinking? I know better than that. And so starting to create these new habits, these new empowering habits. And then I just have one more example, and this is my amazing client in London on Howard. And she came to me, and she'd been chronically ill for 18 years, and the video is actually on my website on my success stories page. And she had been to doctor after doctor, naturopath and holistic everything, and just wasn't getting any better. And this was 18 years of chronic illness, a lot of what I was dealing with. And we were able to really turn things around. Now she's out walking, she's swimming, she's doing yoga, she's enjoying life. She's going to get back into her profession and start taking classes. And everything is just really improved, and I'm so proud of her. And this is really possible for anyone. So Cass, anything that you wanted to add?
I don't think so. We've got a question I'm going to save for the general questions at the end.
Okay, good. So my proposition for you, my amazing community, is that you take the guesswork out of health and get answers. So I have a great opportunity for you. This is my 40-day miracle age backward program that starts in a couple of weeks. And it's 40 days that's going to kickstart your life. And this is an opportunity to get in now on the ground floor. I do have about a dozen people who are already signed up and excited to get going, and I have spots for more. So just check in with yourself now. This opportunity is for you if a lot of you I know are really well educated. You've been educating yourself. You're on the path. You're on the journey for better health. But you don't quite have all the pieces. You have some of the pieces and you're trying to put them together, but you're still possibly missing a few things, because if you had all the pieces, then everything would be working where you want to be. You feel like your energy or health is limiting you, you're struggling at feeling good consistently, and you're asking yourself, is this as good as it gets? And then you feel like your body and who you are is not necessarily matching each other. And you know that you're not being true to your highest potential and what you really want for yourself. And you're not willing to keep struggling on your own and wait however many more years to achieve this on your own. And so that you can finally lose weight, be in a body you love, feel desirable and sexy, and have the energy to pursue the things you love, or perhaps new things, and live the life that you've always wanted and dreamed of. And then I want to just let everyone know that this opportunity isn't for you if you're just looking for a magic pill, because the truth is there isn't a magic pill. It's that consistency piece that we talked about. And you're set in your ways, you don't want to change. So then I would say that's okay, and this isn't something for you to consider. We're going to talk about mindset. We're going to talk about how to get to your optimal weight and how to start to drop that extra weight and reduce inflammation. That's really what it comes down to. Increase energy, have better sex drive. A lot of us, as we're getting older, have that kind of falling off. And so that's something that can absolutely be boosted. Success strategies, and then I want to go into more myth debunking. We talked about sugar and fat today, but that there's a lot more to that. And
one of my favorite things to do is myth busting too.
And you're really good at it.
You are too.
So what you're going to get in the program is we're going to be meeting weekly online. You don't have to drive anywhere, which is great. It's super convenient. You're going to get the recordings of those sessions. You'll get your weight loss plan, and it's going to be a choose your own adventure style. So you don't have to do it completely. You can start taking baby steps, and that will get you results as well. So there's different levels to this, because we all have different situations. Some people are able to do a complete overhaul and willing to do that, and that doesn't work for everyone, and that's okay too. Then you'll get supplemental presentation, there'll be a private membership group, and extra bonuses. So just to give you a little bit of perspective, when I work one-on-one with my private clients, the clients that I mentioned earlier in this presentation, they're paying up to $1,200 a month to work with me. But I wanted to put together something that would be more generally affordable for all of you, not just some of you. So the program value, the Age Backward 40-Day Miracle Age Backward program, is $997. Now, that is not what the program cost is, because again, I want to make it affordable for you. So I do have a fast action price. And this is the price that's going to be available for the next 48 hours, and it's $391. So this is a program for both men and women. of any age is welcome. And I just wanted to mention a couple of extra bonuses. If you're one of the first 10 people to sign up after this webinar today, you do get a one-on-one consult with me, value $299. I want to throw in the summit package, which is now selling for $247, and you'll get to take $100 off the price, making
nice
investment for the program $291 instead of that $997. All right, Cass, anything going on over there?
Just some general questions. So let me know when you want to tackle those.
Okay, so we're going to tackle those in a moment.
Okay.
I do have a guarantee for the program, so I just want to let everyone know that you have a 30-day money-back guarantee. Just let me know if you've tried it and it's not working for you, and we can still be friends. And I want to circle back to what we talked about earlier. If you could be the man or woman of your dreams, who would you be? So just check in with yourself again. Look at what you wrote. See.
Can I share a few of what people wrote at the beginning? Because we never did share those.
Yes, please.
There were some really good ones. Let's see here. Scrolling way back. So Katrine said she'd like to stay being herself, just stronger and more awake. I love that. Marie said she would love to have the energy of a 5-year-old. And I said I'd be Superwoman. Sometimes I feel like it, but...
You kind of are, Cass.
You really are, Marcy. I love this program you've created. This is how you make everyone into Superwoman or Superman.
Yeah, I really want to give everyone that opportunity for a kickstart that my private one-on-one clients get, and do it in a way that is affordable. And so for that, I'm going to bring together an amazing group, and you get the group support too. So studies have shown that when you have a mentor and group support, you're much more likely to be successful. And that's really what I want for everyone, is to have that opportunity to be successful. So now is your decision time. Are you going to move forward into the new life or stay in the old life? And that gets to be your choice, just like everything in life is your choice, from deciding how you're going to approach your day, to what you're going to eat, to what your attitude is at any given moment. And then to sign up for the program, be one of those first 10 to get that discount, to get the summit package, to get a private one-on-one session with me, then just go to agebackward.com. And then you're going to click this purple Enroll Now button. So agebackward.com, and try to be one of the first 10 if you can, so that you get all those extra bonuses and the discount. And then once you click on Enroll Now, you're going to go into this where it says promo code to get that $100 off if you're one of the first 10. And you're going to enter special price. And that's in all caps. It doesn't work if it's not in all caps. So special price under promo code, and then you can see that it takes that $100 off. Okay, so also for those of you who stayed to the end, thank you. If you would like a copy of these slides, just email me. I'd be happy to send that back over to you. And thank you for attending. We're going to take questions now, and I'm going to put this slide back up so you know where to go. All right, so what questions do we have?
All right, Iveen says, what schools or programs teach what you're saying? I want to go back to school and help others the way I've been helped, having trouble finding a program.
Okay, so is it Irene?
Iveen.
Iveen?
Yeah.
I would say go ahead and email me. There's a few different options. I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, but it really kind of depends on what you're looking for. So why don't we touch on that offline? And it's Marcy at thehealthandhappinessguide.com.
And then Anna said, I have the hardest time eating well during my period. My brain tells me I need chocolate. What do you do for hormonal cravings like that?
Well, chocolate can be a magnesium deficiency, which a lot of us are deficient in magnesium. So breaking down the cravings and deconstructing them to what might actually be going on is one thing. So you can try taking more magnesium. Also, small amounts of dark chocolate And I would say dairy-free dark chocolate with a high amount of raw cacao is not unhealthy. In fact, I eat dark chocolate too sometimes. So if you can have 1 or 2 squares of that, then I think that's fine.
Great. That wraps up our questions, Marcy.
Okay. Well, I want to thank everyone for staying with me. I just want to mention Alana, Anna, Carol, another Carol, Christina, Deb, Debbie, Dora, Elizabeth, Sherry, Gina, HC, Henry, HTC, Jennifer, Jesse, Jody, John, another John, Kylie, Layla, Lee, Lydia, Iveen, Marie, Mary, Michael, Paul. Thank you so much all for being here. Sam, Susan, Vicki. It's been an honor having you here and spending my birthday with you to make it really special. And have a wonderful, amazing day. Feel free to get in touch with me for the slides. And make sure you're one of the first 10. Go to agebackward.com and then use your discount code special price. And thanks, Cassie, for being my co-host today. You rocked it out.
Thanks, Marcy. It was an honor for me to be here as well. And happy birthday.
Thank you so much.